Hello, welcome to the MEL Mentorship Hub. Today, we'll be looking at the evolution of MEL, the definition, purposes, and importance, and how this has evolved over time. The definition, purpose, and importance of MEL, that's monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning, have evolved over time to reflect the changing priorities of organizations and the complexity of development and humanitarian work. Various organizations use different acronyms such as M&E, MEL, MEL, PMEL, MERL, and MERLA to capture specific priorities within their monitoring and evaluation systems. Evolution of the definitions of MEL and related frameworks. The core components remain monitoring and evaluation, but additional elements have been integrated over time to reflect growing emphasis on accountability, learning, and adaptation. Doing a breakdown of the different structures and evolution of the MEL across their key evaluation and the meaning. Now, starting with M&E, it stands for monitoring and evaluation. It's the traditional approach focused on tracking and assessing project results used widely in early development projects and programs. It later evolved into MEL, incorporating learning. MEL stands for monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Now, during the process, they recognized the need to integrate learning for adaptive management and continuous improvement because the traditional approach for monitoring and evaluation was a bit rigid, and they noticed that as implementation goes on, there's a lot of learning that needs to be done to be feedback into the process, and that's where learning comes into. Furthermore, it now evolved into MEL, monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning, adding accountability to ensure transparency and beneficiaries' feedback in development and humanitarian work. Just like we know, the voice of the beneficiaries is very crucial in making sure project achieves the aims and objective. So accountability brings a medium where beneficiaries can voice out their needs and learning can be adapted from those feedbacks gotten from all the stakeholders in the project. MEL evolve including planning into the system. Now, PMEL stands for planning, monitoring, evaluation, and learning. And in this concept, planning was introduced to emphasize designing intervention with measurable indicators from the onset. So instead of the iterative processes, a planning component was put in place to make sure an extensive planning mechanisms is put in place for adaptive monitoring systems. MEL later evolved to include research. Now, for monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning, it incorporated research to provide deeper analytical insight and evidence for policy making. It later evolved to MERLA, monitoring, evaluation, research, learning, and adaptation. In other cases, MERLA can also be referred to monitoring, evaluation, reporting, learning, and adaptation. Now, the adaptation was added when the need arises for flexibility in response to the changing context, especially in volatile situations and crisis settings. So there's need to always adapt to the evolving changes, and hence the incorporation of adaptation into the MIE framework and system. Now, to look at how the definitions have shifted, starting from compliance to learning. In the onset, the focus was primarily on accountability to donors, that's the MIE system, the traditional MIE, while the newer ones prioritize learning and adaptation, and also giving a voice to the beneficiaries, being accountable to every stakeholder involved, not just the donor. Also moved from a rigid to flexible system. Traditional MIE was static. It has preset indicators, fixed framework, and a rigid setup where everything has to go in line with the initial design of the project or program. But now, in the MERL/MERLA setup, frameworks allow for continuous adaptation in response to real-time data. It also moves from output to impact focus. Earlier modules focus on tracking activities and output, that is, number of schools built in cases of education projects. However, the modern MERL emphasizes impact and sustainability, that is, tracking literacy improvement in children, not just the number of schools built, but the attendance of those pupils in the school. Now, the evolution of the purpose of MERL across different contexts varies depending on the sector, organization, context in which it's applied in. So looking at the context, the purpose of the MERL and how it has evolved, starting from a developmental project or programs. The purpose is to ensure long-term sustainability and effectiveness of interventions. And it has evolved by shifting from donor reporting to adaptive management, ensuring community participation in evaluations. In the humanitarian response, MERL has shifted to ensure accountability, rapid learning, and adaptation in crisis settings, which will now lead to a stronger emphasis on real-time monitoring, community feedback, and adaptive programming. In education programs, the purpose has shifted to measure learning outcomes and the impact of education interventions, not just tracking number of learners, infrastructures built, and books distributed. It has evolved in the sense that now it moved from simple enrollment tracking to accessing literacy and numeracy skills, e.g., the early grade reading assessment. In health and nutrition, the purpose of MERL has shifted to tracking disease prevention, health system strengthening, and nutrition interventions. And it has shifted from individual project MIE to integrated health information systems and real-time monitoring, e.g. the DHIS2, the mobile health survey. For climate and environment programs, it has shifted to measure the impact of climate adaptation, resilience, and sustainability programs, which include predictive analytics, geospatial monitoring, and participatory approaches for sustainable impact. Evolution of the importance of MERL in organizations. The importance of MERL has grown beyond a project management tool to a strategic framework influencing policy, funding, and decision making. Key shifts in importance. MERL has shifted from accountability to learning. That is, the traditional MIE ensures donor compliance, while the modern MERL ensures learning and adaptation to improve impact. From project level to systems thinking, MERL has evolved from tracking individual project performance to measuring sector-wide or national impact through the SDGs, education sector planning, etc. It has also shifted from data collection to data utilization. Early MIE focused on data gathering without strong utilization. However, now organizations focused and prioritize on data-driven decision-making using real-time dashboards and AI analytics. It has shifted to localization and community-driven MERL. Early MIE was expert-driven, led by external consultants. However, today local organizations and communities play a key role in co-designing MERL processes. Let's look at where MERL is headed now. Increased use of technology. Digital tools, AI, and real-time dashboard will make MERL more responsive. Greater focus on adaptive learning. Organizations will move beyond just measuring impact to adapting strategies dynamically. Community-led MERL. Local actors will take lead in data collection, analysis, and decision making, making sure the voices of every beneficiaries and stakeholders are involved in planning and designing meal processes. Integrated meal frameworks. Meal will no longer be separate from program designs. It will be embedded into all stages of project cycles. So let's look at some examples of the different contexts and structures of MIE in different organizations and programs. So looking at a World Bank project for development programs, which uses the traditional MIE approach. So in this project, the World Bank has used monitoring evaluation for decades to track the effectiveness of large-scale development projects in areas like education, infrastructures, and public health. Now, the application of the MIE framework focuses on logical frameworks, that's the log frame, to set clear objective, indicators, and evaluation plans. Example, in an education reform project in Kenya, the World Bank used an MIE system to track school enrollment, teachers training, and learning outcomes over time. These data help the government adjust education policies to improve literacy rate. Key learning. While effective for tracking output, early MIE models were less flexible and struggled to incorporate community feedback. This led to a shift toward meal frameworks in later projects. Now, let's look at meal in humanitarian response, looking at International Rescue Committee. The IRC operates in emergency context, providing life-saving aid in conflict zone and disaster-affected areas. The application. IRC uses meal systems to ensure accountability, rapid learning, and adaptation in humanitarian interventions. Example, in response to the Rohingya refugee crisis in Bangladesh, IRC implemented a real-time meal system to track the number of refugees receiving food, healthcare, and shelter, effectiveness of emergency response efforts, and the beneficiary feedback to improve delivery of services. The meal system allows IRC to quickly adjust food distribution strategies based on real-time data from refugees and camps. Meal key learning. Meal help shift from rigid pre-planned intervention to adaptive programming in response to changing needs. MERLA in education, looking at a USAID funded project in Nigeria. So, the Learn to Read project in Nigeria aims to improve literacy outcomes in conflict affected areas. USAID uses MERLA, monitoring, evaluation, reporting, learning, and adapting to measure reading improvement. Example, early grade reading assessment (EGRA) are used to track students' progress. Teachers receive training based on data-driven feedback from meal reports. Learning data is used to adjust instructional methods dynamically. The project helped refine literacy interventions, leading to improved reading scores in target areas. Learning-focused MIE ensures that education programs are evidence-based rather than just tracking outputs, and adaptation is made as required, e.g., through the number of books distributed. PMEL in climate and environmental programs, a case study of UNDP and Green Climate Fund. The United Nations Development Programs (UNDP) and the Green Climate Fund (GCF) use planning, monitoring, evaluation, and learning (PMEL) in climate resilience projects. PMEL ensures that climate projects are designed with measurable indicators from the start. Example, in Ethiopia, UNDP implemented a PMEL framework to track the drought resilience effort, e.g., irrigation projects, community engagement in climate adaptation, impact of climate policies on rural farmers. PMEL allowed early detection of risks, e.g., drought-related crops failure, helping government adjust policies proactively. Key learning. Now, PMEL ensures that through planning, Indicators are embedded from the project design stage, improving long-term sustainability.